Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very exciting talking tennis stream where we'll be watching none other than Rafael Nadal taking on fourth seed Alex de Minaur in Barcelona. I am so excited to be covering a Rafa match for Talking Tennis for the first time. Bit of an honour for me. And we've already got Isla in the chat. So nice to see you. Vamos, Rafa. I think we're going to have quite a few Rafa fans in the chat today, I imagine, which is very exciting. I would have to agree with you that I think, like most, or no, not most, but lots of tennis fans today, we want to see Rafa playing well. I'm a fan of both players. I really enjoy Alex de Minaur's tennis as well. So I'm just hoping for a really good match and that Rafa is, as competitive as possible. Hi, Terry. Good to see you as well. Thanks for joining us. Really exciting match. I think we've got a poll going as well about who is going to win this match, who we predict, but let me know in the comments as well who you think is going to come out victorious in this match between de Minaur and Nadal. Obviously, a little bit different to their previous meetings. They're warming up at the moment, by the way, hence why there's no score yet. A bit different to their previous meetings. I know they've played 4 times before. Rafa's won 3 of them, and then de Minaur beat Nadal in the 2023 United Cup, which is sort of early 2023 when Rafa probably, from what I remember, wasn't at his physical best. But still a good win for de Minaur here. So he has beaten Rafa before. Hopefully might be less overawed by the occasion than perhaps Capoli was yesterday with his errors. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch that match in full, but I think Capoli was probably quite overawed by the occasion. Playing Rafa Nadal on Pista Rafa Nadal is quite tricky, and I think he found it quite tricky. But I have a feeling de Minaur won't be quite so overawed by the occasion. Really good point from Terry here, not on clay. Yeah, they've never met on clay. Very true. It is a bit of a different Rafael Nadal, as we know, on clay. So that in itself is another obstacle for de Minaur to overcome today. Obviously, de Minaur, the informed player, the one that perhaps on paper we expect to win. I don't know. I'm probably of the mind that I struggle to ever count Rafael Nadal out, just because previous instances have taught me that that's a terrible idea because he just keeps coming back. So they are getting underway now on Pista Rafa Nadal in Barcelona. Rafa is serving first. Obviously, a bit of a different serve from Rafa than we're used to. I haven't really been able to look at that properly because I wasn't able to watch yesterday, so I'm interested to see how his serving is today. And we're into the first point. Just exchanging ground strokes from the back at the moment. Rafa with a backhand out wide, but de Minaur gets there and they continue the rally. De Minaur tries the drop shot and it's enough. Rafa's not able to get there. And that's love 15. Yeah, that's a lovely drop shot, actually, and I think most people would probably struggle to get to that one. So stepping up to serve. Yeah, that new service motion is all arm, isn't it? It's completely different. Hi, Ram. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us today. I'm doing really well. Mostly thanks to watching this incredible match. And Ram is again, Vamos Rafa. So we've got a few of those already in the chat, as I expected, which is nice to see. He's struggling on his first service game. Here is Rafa Nadal, love 30. Here we go. Serves central. and stays on the forehand, runs around to hit the inside-out forehand, which is good enough. Alex de Minaur does not time his return well enough. And that's the first point on the board for Rafa at 15:30. I am loving this Rafael Nadal outfit. I have to say it. It is one of his best. Oh, lovely play from Nadal there. Forehand +1 is out wide. De Minaur stretches to reach it, sort of loops it back onto court, but Nadal with a cheeky little drop shot makes it 30-all. Second serve for Rafa here. Alex de Minaur, it's fair to say, never been super successful on clay, or never found his greatest successes on clay. I would perhaps expect him to be a slightly more successful this season, just because of the form he's had coming into it. Obviously making top 10 for the first time. So I expect him to have a more successful clay season this year. Exchanging backhands down the line with Rafa, switches to his forehand, never a good idea. Rafa hits the inside-out forehand, and de Minaur is instantly on the defence in this rally, but he's doing well. Back onto Rafa's backhand, who slices, or tries to slice down the line, but hits the net, and it's an early break point for Alex de Minaur. As I say, I wasn't able to actually watch Nadal yesterday. I was in a university lecture where I had the score under my desk most of the time. And I did notice that he struggled slightly in his first service game yesterday as well, I believe. So not completely unprecedented, this sort of early hesitance from Rafa. Stepping up for a second serve here. Goes out wide. Alex de Minaur's return is nothing particularly special, but Rafa can't get the returning backhand over the net. And that's an early break for Alex de Minaur in the first service game of the match after just 6 minutes. So not the start that the majority of the Barcelona crowd will have been hoping for, perhaps not the start that quite a few of our listeners right now will be hoping for, but yeah, Alex de Minaur with the early break, certainly so far not looking bothered by who is on the other side of the net. Terry says, oh dear. Early days. He's it's a completely different, contest to the one yesterday. So he's going to have to get used to playing someone like Alex de Minaur, who is going to get a lot more balls back in court, I would suggest, than Flavio Cobolli managed to yesterday. So de Minaur stepping up for his first service game now. I seemed to lose the proper camera on my stream there, so I couldn't watch the rally. But it looked good from the strange camera angle they were giving me, but I couldn't really follow the ball. But Rafa gets the early point, love 15, in what was a relatively long rally. Oh, they've got the camera back. That's lovely. Thank goodness for that. And you can tell straight away that somebody rather clever has told de Minaur not to play to Rafa's forehand. A lot of backhands here from Rafa. Switches him wide to the forehand, and Rafa can't get there quickly enough to settle. And that's 15 all. Yeah, exactly, Terry. Did you have the terrible view as well? It was like from the side, but above, I couldn't see the ball at all. Completely pointless. I don't know if that was an issue or they were trying something new. I don't think they'll stick with it. Second serve here for Alex de Minaur. But that one's a let. Eventually goes out wide. Rafa manages to get the return, but is quickly on the defence in the resulting rally. And de Minaur runs to the net to put away the drop shot, and he manages it. It's 30-15. Looking quite confident out there at the moment, Alex de Minaur, I would say, early on. Christian asks, how do I stream, please? It depends where you are in the world. There are so many different places that you can stream. If you're in the UK, like me, and you have Sky Sports, you can go to Sky Sports Tennis or Now TV. Elsewhere, often Tennis TV is your best bet. I'm not an expert on everywhere, but Terry suggests Tennis TV as well. Thanks, Terry. We've got Giuseppe in the chat as well. Nice to see you. Vamos Rafa. Had a few of those so far. I'm going to keep a count. That's 3 Vamos Rafas. How many are we going to get by the end of the stream? I'll keep a tally. And it's game point for Alex de Minaur here at 40-15. Ram says, win or lose, Rafa will always be my idol. Hard to disagree with that one, I must say. I agree with you. I think the majority of Nadal fans this week are just looking for him to play some good tennis, hopefully. I don't think we're necessarily expecting a win today, or certainly not a win this week, but just a little bit of competitive tennis and some signs that he's on the right track would be very nice, I believe. Is Tennis TV like a website or an app? An app that you'll need to get. Yeah, Tennis TV is an app. Christian, I have it on good authority. Lovely backhand down the line there from Rafa for 40-30. Just painting the line. And once again, really strong backhand, this time cross court, which puts de Minaur on the back foot, and he spins his resulting forehand long, makes it deuce. So Rafa fighting back here on the de Minaur serve. Once again, Alex de Minaur playing mostly to Rafa's backhand here, but plays to his forehand and then switches to another drop shot. That seems to be a tactic he's used a few times already in just these first opening 2 games. But it has been working for him. Rafa gets to that one, but can't get his slice over the net. And it's advantage de Minaur. Serve is very central. And de Minaur's not sure if his forehand's long there, but Rafa shakes his head, commiserates, and it is long. And it's back to deuce. Elsewhere, just quickly, because obviously we've got 5 tournaments this week, and I will admit I'm not doing the best at keeping up with all of them. But in Stuttgart, where we've got John at the moment, obviously Ons Jabeur with a brilliant win earlier. I think I can't imagine anyone not being happy for Ons Jabeur getting that win earlier. I think it's really nice after 2 months, I believe, without one. John saying he's just spoken to her as well, so we'll be getting some talking tennis content following that Ons Jabeur win, which is brilliant. And right now in Stuttgart, we've got Kostyuk up a set and a break against Laura Siegmund, and Potapova a set and a break on Samsonova, I believe. As Alex de Minaur consolidates his early break after only a couple of deuces and makes it 2-love in this match. Just very quick again, because we've got so much tennis on at the moment, a quick update elsewhere in Barcelona. Of course, we've got 3 courts on the go in Barcelona. We've got Musetti against Carballes Baena about to start, because Thompson has just beaten Minaur in 3 sets and 3 hours 10 minutes, so that's a long one. And on the other court, we've got Marjan and Van Asch, who have just started, and Marjan with an early break point at 1-love. Obviously, we'll be focusing on Pista Rafa Nadal and the man himself, who is stepping up to serve, try and get a game on the board here. It had quite a few long rallies so far. This is proving to be another one. Rafa hitting his forehand to de Minaur's backhand, but de Minaur is so solid he's able to get it back, and Rafa attempts to go for the inside-out forehand, but goes well wide. Love 15. He is struggling so far. I think, it's really important that, Flavio Cobolli yesterday did seem to be intimidated, and I don't think you can really blame him. I think there's a lot of players in the world who'd be intimidated to play Rafael Nadal anywhere, let alone on clay in Spain. But definitely can't be said for Alex de Minaur here. He doesn't look intimidated in the slightest, and in a way he shouldn't be. He's in great form coming into this. He knows about, as we all do, about Rafa's physical issues at the moment, maybe not being at his strongest. So Alex de Minaur is taking his chances well so far. And with Rafa's serve as it is at the moment, no easy points here. Another long rally for him to try and make something of, and de Minaur's forehand there, just marginally long, makes it 15 all, sorry. Hi, Matthew. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Alex de Minaur won their last match. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, that was obviously, as far as I can remember, in the 2023 United Cup, amidst some of Rafa's physical issues, but, he was playing, so he was fit enough to play. So it's still a good win for Alex de Minaur. I don't want to take anything away from that win. And perhaps more than that, mentally, he knows that he has beaten Rafael Nadal in his career already, which is no mean feat at any point, I would suggest. So, that could definitely be a factor in this match, that he has already beaten him before. Rafa looking slightly better here than he was in his first service game at 30-15. But every point on Nadal's serve at the moment is a bit of a battle, because of that sort of new, I saw somebody call it economical, is it maybe Damien? Economical serve from Rafa, which I thought was a great way of putting it. I'm describing it as all arm. It's an all arm serve. And he's not getting any free points on that. Certainly not against somebody like Alex de Minaur. Who's just managed to do a brilliant slice, or at least what I thought was a brilliant slice, but Rafa stopped the point and is certain it was out. So umpire's coming down to check. Got Carlos Bernardes as the umpire on this one, coming to check whether that was out, and Rafa is proved right, and it is 40-15. Here's the one. It was, of course, it was Damien. The service motion was very economical. Couldn't have put it better myself. Of course, Rafa was asked about his serve afterwards, and I can't remember the exact quote, but I remember him saying something about how he's not going to go for his serve in every match and every point. That wouldn't be smart of him at this stage, physically. So he perhaps wasn't too happy with any criticism of his serve at the moment. As he hits a very good inside-out forehand, but de Minaur hits an even better passing shot down the line on the run. Gets a clap from Rafa. That one was just too good. 40-30. It was a better first serve from Nadal down the centre. Still ends up in a long rally where his backhand just edges into the tram lines. And he's starting to look a little bit frustrated as we go to deuce, after he did have 40-15. So Rafa's serving here at deuce. Serves out wide. De Minaur's return clips the net but does go over. Goes for the drop shot, and Rafa doesn't even go for that one. It's too good. And another break point here for Alex de Minaur for a double break really early on in this match. And so far, the Rafa fans in the comments will not be happy with what his showing so far. Break point. Alex de Minaur on the defence in this rally, but it's what he does so well. He's getting every shot back despite the power behind Rafa's forehand. Eventually he runs around, plays the forehand down the line, and Alex de Minaur can't quite get to that one in time. Get the classic Rafa Nadal fist pump, and we're back to deuce. It's Alex de Minaur's turn that time in that rally to run around and hit the forehand, inside-out forehand. He did two of them, but the second one wasn't quite good enough. And another chance for Nadal to close out this service game and get a game on the board. Matthew says, I guess Rafa will only up the intensity on serve when he plays Roland Garros, and even then, only when it's essential. Yeah, totally agree with you. It doesn't really make sense for him to do it now. Obviously, this is only his second match back after such an extended timeout. I know he played a couple of matches in Brisbane, but yeah, it's clear that he's going to have to make certain changes, such as that service motion, if he wants to play at this level at the moment. So it makes sense. All of this really is building to the French Open, isn't it? So I think he'll have an eye on that for the next month. I completely agree, Matthew. Another chance to serve out the game. Doesn't manage to take it, and we're back to deuce. Problem he's having at the moment, I think, is that, de Minaur is everywhere. His movement is so impressive that even when Rafa's moving him side to side, de Minaur can get there without much issue, take control of a point quite quickly, and any drop shots, Rafa's not really attempting to even rush up to them. So de Minaur's got solid tactics so far, I would suggest. That time when he does go for the drop shot into the net. So Nadal yet again with a game point, and he'll be desperate to take this. Quite a long rally there between de Minaur's backhand and Rafa's forehand. Alex de Minaur trying to force Rafa to play backhand, but he just refused. And eventually de Minaur's backhand goes long, and he does get that game on the board. So 2-1. Matthew asking, is de Minaur trying to get the ball into the Rafa backhand corner with every opportunity? With almost every opportunity, I would say. Perhaps 80% of the time, yeah. That backhand corner. Rafa obviously stepping around to play forehands when he can, but there's definitely a focus on that backhand corner so far today, as well as I would suggest to focus on the drop shots. I don't have the stats for that, but I feel like I've seen at least 5 drop shots already from Alex de Minaur. The resilience that Rafa demonstrates is remarkable, says Ram. Absolutely. Totally agree. He could be a breakdown, he could be 2 breaks down in this set, and you wouldn't put it past him to do something about it, even at the sort of physical level that he is at the moment, I think, and that is just because of who he is and everything we've seen him do. Yeah, I did see that look actually from Rafa towards his team after one of the drop shots. He definitely knows they're coming, and I think even if he stands close to the baseline, I'm not sure he's going to be able to get to them if de Minaur continues hitting good drop shots like he is at the moment. They're not just sort of throwaway ones. He's hitting really good drop shots. And I think, I don't know if it's because, it's likely because of his current kind of physical condition, Rafa. He's stopped attempting those. I think he attempted to get to the first one. And since, he's just sort of watched them bounce and walked off. But yeah, depends how Alex de Minaur is serving, I would say, as to whether he can get back into this match. Good first point from Alex on his first serve. Even his serve seems to be trying to draw the backhand return, but Rafa's quite happy to run around and play the forehand. De Minaur there with a nice forehand winner down the line into an open court practically. Serves out wide, does force the backhand return from Rafa that time, which is long. And De Minaur making quick work of this service game so far at 40 love. That's a double fault though for Alex de Minaur. Make it 40-15. And a second serve here, so just serve gone off the last minute or so, but manages to get that one in. Rafa scrambling to try and get some of these shots back from Alex de Minaur, but he does get there. Comes further into the court to put away a pretty easy forehand and just hooks it out wide. Well wide, in fact. That gives Alex de Minaur the game, 3-1. But it's only 4 games in half an hour, so they are, longer rallies, longer games. This isn't totally easy for Alex de Minaur, for anyone who's only watching the score. It is a little bit more of a battle than that. I assume you're referring to that last forehand from Rafa, Terry, and if so, I have to agree it was quite wild. It was well wide, definitely. That's a nice get from Rafa though. Half block, half slice down the line on the backhand. And he was quite happy with that one himself. And that is probably the first free point that Nadal has got on his own serve, that de Minaur wasn't able to return that one, mostly because of the length on that serve. Just painted the line. Gives him 30 all. And some things just put him off mid-service motion there, so he'll be trying that one again. Second serve. Yeah, it must be quite special. I agree, Ram, to play on a court named after you. I think, for a lot of players, that kind of accolade maybe comes after your career's over. So to be able to enjoy it whilst you're still playing is quite special. De Minaur once again had Rafa scrambling there. Couldn't quite put away a backhand slice, so 30-15. Another good serve from Rafa, though. Definitely better serving in this game than we've seen in his previous 2 service games. That one was, again, good length out wide and de Minaur unable to return. That first serve into the net, so second serve for Rafa here. Just feels like there's very little on that second serve at the moment. The first serve, it's nothing particularly special either, but there is at least something in it. The second serve it feels very tame. It's difficult for him to get any momentum in a point with that serve. And that's 40-30. That's a good cross-court forehand from Rafa, and de Minaur's own forehand into the net, so 3-2. So it's just that opening service game where he's been broken, and he's held serve since as they sit down for the changeover.
Thanks for tuning into this watch along. While there's a break in play, here's a reminder to hit the like button, subscribe and click that notification bell. Your support helps to keep the channel going. While we're here, you can now become a member to enjoy perks including badges for the live chat, but also bonus material such as interviews with top players from both ATP and WTA tours. The membership link is pinned in the live chat. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. So whether it be serves or volleys, forehands or backhands, serve bots or drop shots, we've got you covered. Whether that be via our website, talking-tennis.com, where you can read features and interviews from our top writers. Or if you prefer us in audio form, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Amazon or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts from. Remember, we offer you wall-to-wall coverage via our regular watch-alongs, magazine shows such as Nick's WTA Weekly or Damien and Mario's ATP version. Plus, we deliver top content from people on the ground, actually at the tournaments, so you get even nearer to the action. So, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Good morning to Jacira, who's joined us as well. Great to see you. My Portuguese isn't top notch, but I believe that says good morning here in Brazil. So hope you're having a good morning so far, Jacira. We've got de Minaur stepping up now for his service game at 3-2. He's a breakup against Rafa Nadal here in Barcelona. Goes for a forehand down the line that puts it in the net, so that's love 15. Interesting to note, I've not seen sort of any emotion so far whatsoever from Alex de Minaur. We've had a few fist pumps from Rafa at certain points, especially when he's managed to hold serve. But none of the same from Alex de Minaur. No real emotion when he got the early break, and none since. Will we see any frustration now, as he is love 30 here, after Rafa goes for the lob at the net? De Minaur tries to go for the backhand overhead, but gets that wildly wrong. You can't really blame him. It was a tough shot, but love 30. Once again, trying to play on Rafa's backhand here. But Rafa manages to run around, play the forehand. And as soon as he does that, de Minaur switches to Nadal's forehand and he can't get there in time. 15-30. Jamie, thanks for joining us. Great to see you. Does Djokovic have any court named after him? Not to my knowledge, but if anyone wants to correct me on that, please do. But not to my knowledge. I'm sure that won't be the case forever. But as of right now, no, I don't believe so. And Terry agrees with me. So I must be right. Once again, just playing on Rafa's backhand here. But his backhand's been quite solid. That's actually where, in the forehand, that we've seen a couple of wild forehands from Rafa today. Not many, but a few, and a few errors on the forehand. The backhand's been relatively solid, and he proves it once again. And he's got 2 break points here, break back points against de Minaur at 15-40. And of course, de Minaur instantly responds with an ace. That was quite impressive from de Minaur, actually, under pressure. Went straight down the tee, and I don't think many people could do anything about that one. Break point number 2 here for Rafa Nadal. This time, de Minaur serving out wide. Rafa just about manages to get that one back in play with a cross-court forehand. De Minaur back to trying to play on the Rafa backhand, but he steps around, plays the forehand. And they continue with a rally that's just all over the place. Rafa goes for a cross-court backhand, moves de Minaur, who's unable to get there. And we get the break back 3-all in this first set, which I'm sure will be great news to a lot of people watching. Some real fight from Rafa there, and some great stuff on the backhand, because de Minaur's really playing on that. Yeah, Rafa totally fine playing some backhands today. 3-all. Vamos, says Terry. Does that count as a Vamos, Rafa? I'm going to count it. That's 4 Vamos Rafas so far today. Jamie says, I think to keep the set scores close would be a big step for Rafa. Totally agree. De Minaur is such an in-form player at the moment that to keep close sets, regardless of the result, I think is a big step. I think the win yesterday was a step in itself. I know some people would say, Caboli, a bit intimidated, struggled quite a bit, but I still think it was a big step for Rafa to get that win yesterday. And to keep the sets close against somebody as in form as de Minaur is would be no easy feat. It's 15 love here. On serve is Nadal. And again, just so many kind of lengthy rallies in this one. But de Minaur's backhand is very wild. And it's 30 love. Matthew says, such a bummer about Munich. Expected to rain all week. Not sure how they will resolve it and get the matches played. Totally agree with you. I mean, I must say, to me, it seems like a bit of a strange time to have a tournament in Germany in the middle of April. But yeah, it's going to be really difficult this week to get the matches done. Obviously, Jack Draper's match earlier managed to go ahead. That was rather quick for a 3-setter, just an hour and a half, or just over an hour and a half. Lost the first set and then took the next 2 6-1, 6-1. Rafa, by the way, with a drop shot of his own this time, that de Minaur is nowhere near to make it 40-love. And looking a little bit closer to the Rafa we might know than he was at the start of this set. Terry says, Matthew, it was the same last year. It is, yeah, I totally agree, Terry. It's certainly annoying. I'm sure if they could play with an umbrella, they would. Probably need an umbrella over the whole court, which is otherwise known as a roof, I suppose. That is a fabulous service game from Rafa Nadal, by the way. Really strong. Gorgeous backhand, finds an incredible angle that de Minaur can't even get his racket on it, which is quite rare for somebody like de Minaur, who is just everywhere on a court. So yeah, 4-3 on serve, but Rafa looking a lot stronger. Starting to cook now, as Jamie would say, yeah. Just going back to earlier, we were talking about people who have courts named after them. And Ram says Tsitsipas does. And I must say, I'm not, maybe I'm very out of the loop here, but I didn't realise that. Is that in Greece or elsewhere? I didn't know he had a court named after him. I know John tweeted something that I believe turned out to be very controversial this week on the Talking Tennis account about Tsitsipas having more titles in Monte Carlo than Djokovic does, which made me laugh a lot. But maybe he should also tweet about Tsitsipas having a court named after him, if that's true. If Djokovic doesn't, sure you'd get a lot of stick for that as well. Oh dear. Now that's a backhand, says Tennis Asia TV. Absolutely. That was a rocket of a backhand. And as I was saying, I think his backhand's been really strong today. It's obviously a tactic of de Minaur's to play to the backhand corner as much as possible, which understandable, but no, the backhand's been good. Carlos does. You mean Carlos Alcaraz has a court as well? Clearly I'm not up to date on these named courts. Another Vamos from Terry as well. Love to see it. If I wasn't on stream right now and I was just watching this match, I promise you there'd be a lot of Vamoses coming out of my mouth. So we're back to the Alex de Minaur serve here. Still no real emotion from Alex after getting broken back. But it is on serve, and he seems to be staying focused here. Serves out wide. Rafa tries the forehand return, but just goes into the net. 15-all. Once again, Alex de Minaur playing into Rafa's backhand corner, then switching out wide to Rafa's forehand, which Rafa manages to get to, runs back, plays a gorgeous passing backhand down the line. That is stunning from Rafael Nadal. Once again with the backhand winner. Brilliant. We did have a quick peek there on the screen. I just missed it because I was watching Rafa's point, but there it is. Thank you, John. Given everything you've just... Obviously, this is John talking to Ons Jabeur in Stuttgart after her incredible win against Alexandrova earlier today. And Ons Jabeur... There's an Ons Jabeur quote there about she didn't believe she could win. But then she knew she was going to. Lovely. Good for her. As I say, really happy for Ons Jabeur. That's a big win. And also, you know, it's first win in a couple of months, which in itself is really impressive. But against Alexandrova, that is very, very impressive. Set down, a breakdown in the second set, and a breakdown in the third set, I believe. So, yeah, great stuff from Ons Jabeur today. At 30 all here on the de Minaur serve. De Minaur goes for the drop shot. This time, Rafa running in for it, plays one of his own. De Minaur tries to slice across the court, but hits the net. And we've got another break point here for Rafa at 3-4 for 5-3. Handled the drop shot really well there. It wasn't de Minaur's best drop shot of the match so far, in fairness, but no, it was well handled. So break point for a second successive break. Ooh, good serve from Alex de Minaur down the tee. Rafa manages to get it back, but only just, and Alex de Minaur puts away the inside-out forehand to make it deuce. A little bit of emotion there from Alex de Minaur for the first time, a little bit of a fist pump. This is the Rafa I know, says Ram. Yeah, a little bit more like the Rafa we know well, I would agree. That's another good serve from Alex de Minaur to possibly get himself out of trouble, or at least give himself advantage here. First serve into the net though, so a look at a second serve here for Rafa. Runs round to play the forehand return. Alex de Minaur with a backhand down the line. Rafa plays his forehand across and de Minaur slides over to it, but hits it into there, and we're back on deuce. Matthew asks, how's de Minaur looking? Is he playing well or is it patchy? I would say he's playing well. I think we've seen a raise in level from Nadal in the last 2 games to break back and then to hold his serve convincingly. And obviously to compete here on the de Minaur service game at deuce. But I think he's been playing really well. I think he's had good tactics. Those drop shots were working really well for him to start with. He's started using less of those, I would suggest now. But no, playing well so far. And once again, getting advantage here on his serve. Tries to go out wide with the first, but it's into the net. So second serve goes down the middle. Rafa once again running around to play the forehand return. But his next forehand, he doesn't time it right, hits the top of his racket and goes long, and it's 4-all. That's a good hold from Alex de Minaur, in fairness. It was Nadal with all of the momentum there. Had a break point, and de Minaur's serving got him out of that one. But yeah, good hold to kind of stop that momentum from Nadal. Hi, River. Thank you for joining us. De Minaur is playing pretty confident right now. I agree. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any, I think I said earlier, but there doesn't seem to be any kind of the intimidation that we might have seen in Kaboli yesterday. He's playing confidently. Obviously, a bit of a raise in level from Rafa to break back. We'll see how he does on his own service game now, but I would suggest that de Minaur's own level has been good. Rafa with a rocket of an inside-out forehand there that de Minaur can only return to the net for 15 love. That was a proper Nadal forehand. And I must say, you know, if you're not watching it right now, they've got a shot of Rafa serving, and in the background you can see the Lexus that sponsors the tournament sort of on a diagonal in the crowd. I will never enjoy cars being on a diagonal above a tennis court. Just stresses me out, I'm afraid. Facing down, I always picture them falling in some way. So yeah, that's what's behind Rafa right now as he wins that point and makes it 30-love. Just to give you a quick Barcelona update elsewhere, Marjan is through to the round of 16 after Van Asch retired. He'd lost the first set 6-love. Marjan had won the first set 6-love and was 3-2 up in the second when Van Asch retired. So Marjan through there. And Musetti, Carbias, Baena is 2-all on serve, I think, so far. Don't know if there's been any breaks there. No breaks, but a few break points. So Nadal with game points here. Oh, has the chance to go for the forehand down the line, passing shot, but doesn't quite make it. That one's in the tram lines, and it's 40-15. Sean says Nadal winning the French would be like old Tiger Woods winning the Masters. Yeah. There was just one day, wasn't there? I did watch the Masters. I do enjoy the golf, but I mostly watched the majors, to be honest. And there was just one day where you thought, could he be in the mix at least, Tiger Woods? That was put to bed quite quickly on the Saturday, wasn't it?
Hello.
Hello. It's lovely to have some company.
Yeah, it's lovely to be here. I've been so busy this morning with meetings and stuff, but I've had one eye on the match the whole time because it's Rafael on clay in Barcelona. I can't miss it.
Exactly. I was saying earlier when I was at university yesterday, I had the score sort of under my desk in a lecture. Yeah. So yeah, I totally get it.
Oh yeah.
What have you made of this match so far then, if you've been keeping an eye on it?
Yeah, I thought Minaur came out with a really good game plan, like hugging the baseline and like hitting a lot of drop shots, pushing Rafa back with his sort of really hard, deep, flat hitting. And then I thought Rafa has done really well since 3-2 to adjust to that and get up to some more of those drop shots, get some better depth and height on his returns. And I think just be able to get his court position to a point where he can actually dictate with the forehand. And also I've been really impressed with his backhand, how he's been flattening it out. And I think he's made some really key adjustments here to be very competitive now.
Yeah, totally agree. I've been going on and on about his backhand because I've been very impressed with that too. I think it was quite clear when de Minaur came out that one of his tactics was definitely obviously to play to the Nadal backhand, but it's been really comfortable.
Yeah. I'm interested to see just physically how Rafa can hold up, especially after the first set and as physical as the match gets. Because I felt like yesterday his ball striking was still pretty good. He was still himself on some forehands full stretch, the forehand down the line winner that kept making the rounds on social media, that stuff. And then you're just like, okay, he still has a lot of these capabilities with his hands and defensively that not many players do. Even a compromised Rafa at 70-75% can pull off shots like that. So it makes it very interesting, because if you're de Minaur, you're like, this is my best chance. I've had a really good year so far. I'm not traditionally the best on clay, but let's see what I've got. And then for Nadal, it's just like a challenge, because he said, I think pre-tournament, that he doesn't want to risk. He wants to play this tournament like it's his last, but also he's not going to push his body. He's not going to overdo a lot of those sprints or try to chase down balls that he knows he can't, that he could once get to. So yeah, because if he got hurt again here, that would be such a shame for his his chances of finishing the year healthy, right, or remotely healthy.
Yeah, you can see that, I think, in the way he's playing as well, especially in those early games, like you said about, de Minaur coming out with the drop shots, and he just watched them bounce and didn't even really bother to get to them. He's obviously adjusted, like you say, now to be able to get to those more, but there's no way he's going to be making those sprints when he knows what's at stake, and that French Open is screaming at him in a month's time. Did you watch the Nadal-Caboli match yesterday in full then?
Yeah, I watched like a good chunk of the first set, and like most of the second, where I thought actually Nadal looked even better in the second set because Caboli, it was just really hard to gauge where Nadal was at because Caboli was just making a lot of unforced errors. He struggled to deal with this topspin and RPM, especially on the backhand side, like many players do. Like it's nothing, But I thought he was a little bit overwhelmed in all of the occasion, maybe at times, and just kind of, yeah. He's one of those Italian players that I think is better on a faster court rather than clay. So, similar type of opponent in that sense, in that they would prefer hard courts, but
Yeah.
so de Minaur is going to ask so many more questions off the return, and and longer rallies, and so I feel like this is a much better test.
Yeah,
to gauge
definitely. The
where-
longer rallies has been very true so far.
Yeah, because that's like de Minaur's sweet spot, right? He wants to make the match as physical as possible because he knows that's where he can overcome some of the disadvantages he has in his game.
Yeah. I expect, obviously, we haven't seen de Minaur have too much success on clay to date, at least, or not the majority of his success anyway. But I expect him to have not necessarily a wildly successful clay season, but probably a better one than we've seen from him previously this year, just because of the momentum he's taking into it.
No, I would agree. Yeah, like I can definitely expect some round of 16s, maybe some quarters. Something like just very much about where he's ranked. I can certainly see that.
Yeah, and I would think he would probably count that as a success. He'll know that clay's not where he's going to shine like he has been so far this year. Ram says he feels that Rafa's backhand is pretty underrated. Once he gets in the flow, he can absolutely demolish the ball on the backhand wing. He's certainly been doing so today.
Yeah, I feel like that's been one of the keys to him winning so many majors in his 30s as well. Like the way he's just been, basically ending rallies with that. Like it used to be something where he would use to get his forehand back into play, get himself back into an attacking position. But now I feel like he just lets it rip, and that's when he's feeling really confident. Like I almost feel like sometimes his how good his backhand cross court is almost as much of a barometer as his forehand down the line. So it's been a very key thing, especially as he's gotten older or more advanced age, as he likes to say.
Yeah, we'll stick with his words on that one. Advanced age.
Yeah,
Sure.
I quite enjoyed that in the on-court interview yesterday.
A bit of a chance here on the Nadal serve for de Minaur at love 30.
Yeah, de Minaur is getting so much good depth on his ground strokes today, and really just forcing Nadal on the back foot.
Yeah.
Ghosty with the unfiltered comments as usual.
Oh, we can expect it. Thanks for joining us, Ghosty. That's a good rally, but just that backhand was a bit wild for probably one of the first times today from Rafa, and goes long for love 40.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know where your stream's at. I'm almost always ahead of anyone I'm on stream with. It's a constant problem.
Yeah, I would say you're like 20 seconds ahead of me, but I can.
Okay. Very sorry, as always.
It's very normal for me to always be behind on these streams, but it's sometimes a refresh can help.
Yeah, if I could pause mine, I would. As I people get bored of me saying, if I could pause it, I would. But the bonus streams on Now TV do not allow it. Second serve here for Rafa at love 40. Goes for the backhand cross court to try and push de Minaur wide, but it leaks into the tram lines, and that's a break to love for Alex de Minaur, and gives him a chance to serve for the set.
Yeah, that backhand that I was praising wasn't quite there for him in the game.
No, it felt like it wasn't. That there was a couple of those errors in that particular game. I think it was just a bit of a drop in level there from Rafa in that game.
Yeah, and I don't, obviously you have to work so hard when you're not able to serve full power. Because so far I've been trying to look at the speeds, and I haven't really seen anything above 180k. And I think that was the norm yesterday as well, and that's just kind of because he hasn't really been practicing his serve up until like just last week.
Yeah,
so you can kind of tell that's still like the rustiest part of his game, because he's not getting any free points at all or any sort of good direction. It's very much just like spin it in. It reminded me of like old Rafa, like 2005, 2007, when he would still win French Opens with that serve.
With that serve, yes, it's very similar. I think he got in his best service game earlier today. He made 2 unreturned serves in one game, and that was the best his serve has been in this set, I would suggest. Other than that, no free points, no.
Yeah, I must say it's still like a pretty tough serve to attack, just because of the spin and the jump and the kick. Like it's still like it's just not as quick in terms of MPHs, but it's still definitely something that can, like when he's at his best, he's normally still able to go in the 120s or mid 120s, sometimes even. Like there was some US Opens where he was at 130, and he's always tinkered with it to make it as effective as possible. But I just feel like his abdominal injury right now and the hip surgery, and ever since he's struggled for a couple of years after winning the French, I just don't think he's gotten a chance to tinker or work around with that shot as much as he would ideally do.
No, it seems like that abdominal injury and the back injury that he seems to possibly have at the moment as well is definitely stopping that movement on the serve. He's having to do it in a different way at the moment.
It's a lot more of like just the arms rather than engaging the legs and the core and hip.
Yeah, I described it as all arm earlier. Yeah. It's an all arm serve. There's not much else to it. Yeah. Good serving so far to make it 30 love for Alex de Minaur here at 6-5. Very good serving. That's an ace for set point.
Yeah. I feel like he's really beefed up that shot the last 12 months. Indoor.
That was a second serve for Alex de Minaur, but Rafa's backhand return goes in the net, and 7-5 first set, Alex de Minaur.
Yeah, I guess we could say there were some positives in how Rafa was able to come back after being down a break. It looked like he might go down a double break, and then he managed to get it back on serve. Even had a break point for 5-3, I believe.
Yeah,
Which
he
was
did.
served really, really well by Minaur. Like a really good serve +1. And anytime Minaur's gotten something short, he's done really well to like step in and put Rafa on the back foot immediately and just test Nadal's legs. So yeah, like overall, I guess the stats I can see on the screen: 6 winners and 23 unforced for Rafa, 12 winners and 19 unforced for Minaur. I guess a lot of those errors coming off the 11 forehand errors from Rafa to 1 winner. I guess that's the
Yeah,
unlike
he's not really been able to hit winners, Rafa, partly because Minaur's just all over the court. He can get everywhere. He gets his racket on everything practically. So he's only really winning points when de Minaur's, forced into not being able to get it back, but he's still going to get to it. So he's not being able to hit winners really.
Yeah. I mean, under 40% for second serve points won as well, which isn't that surprising, as we talked about with the.
No, exactly. Like you say, the serve, there's enough on it to make it difficult to attack, but the second serve is certainly less on it.
He is winning 2/3 of his points when he does make the first serve, and he is putting about 65% right now. So that is still optimal. But yeah, but the second serve it's been pretty rough.
Yeah, it's definitely something that de Minaur's been taking advantage of, and I think he'll have to win more points on second serve in the second set if he wants to make a bit of a comeback here.
Yeah. I suppose the goal for this week was just, try to get a couple of matches in and just don't get hurt. Don't make anything worse.
Yeah, definitely. The most important goal should definitely be don't get hurt.
Yeah.
I don't think, I don't know, obviously, other than Stefanos Tsitsipas, who thinks Rafa's going to win the whole tournament, I think most other people probably didn't expect him to beat Alex de Minaur today. Obviously, always a possibility. Rafa on clay, you never know. But I would suggest that de Minaur felt like a big step.
Yeah, I looked at the odds, or in terms of probability, it was like 55-45 for de Minaur. So that seemed about right to me.
Yeah. Matthew says he's holding back the serve, so people should not worry about that. Yeah, Matthew saying earlier about he's probably likely to, if the body is okay over the next month of playing a few tournaments and stuff, he's probably likely to put a bit more into it in something like Roland Garros when he's really going for it. But if his main goal this week is not to get hurt, as we say, then he's not going to put loads into the serve.
Yeah. de Minaur going with the drop shot again, and he has success.
Yeah, I feel like he sort of gave up on that a little bit in the second half of the first set, but I was quite surprised, especially around the time of Rafa upping his level. I was quite surprised because it was working so well for him in the early games.
Yeah, he was executing it really well, coming up with some really good ones. I feel like it felt like repeatable, more high percentage.
Yeah. I think that just dropped in for Rafa. I wasn't sure. He hit a backhand that sort of looped over. He was on the stretch, and I think it just dropped in.
I think that looked good to me.
Yeah, it did.
That was in. That's the sort of stuff you can do with just one big slide.
Yeah, little clap there from Minaur as well. That one was pretty good.
Yeah. And obviously that's a positive sign because Minaur's had a lot of success, like just pinning Nadal in that corner.
Yeah.
Rafa's kit game this tournament really strong.
Oh yeah, totally agree. I love the purple. Ghosty was talking about Spanish players and pastels earlier, and they just look good. What can we say? It's stylish, as Terry said.
I find pink and purple really suits him well.
Absolutely. My favourite Rafa kit is the Australian Open 2022. That kind of deep purple. Love that.
Yeah, that was a really good one. Obviously, the US Open seems to be where people just love to wear black. You have a Darth Vader type.
Yeah, full of it.
Yeah. Some people can pull it off better than others, but like all the radiant colors, I feel like Rafa on the clay, he always goes for those.
Yeah, I really need On to start making some real standout kits. I need something else from them so badly.
Yeah, especially for Iga, she always wears like the blue and the white, and they always give her kind of the same thing. So it'd be nice if they mix it up.
We've got somebody asking, what did Ons say? Obviously, John is in Stuttgart at the moment and was talking to Ons earlier. The full quote is on the Talking Tennis Twitter, I believe, because John had it up earlier. But she was just talking in that quote about how she was able to turn it around, and there was a moment in the second set where she didn't believe that she could win, and then she really had to steel herself and find a way to believe again, which she did.
By the way, that was a really good dropper at 30-all. Also, because he mixed it up instead of going to Nadal's backhand, he chose to go down the line with it, which kind of was very Alcaraz-esque in terms of the disguise and I guess just the execution too.
That backhand from Minaur was just long, so game point for Rafa here. But I would say Alex de Minaur is just playing really well, but also just really tactically. He knows exactly what he's come out here to do. And even when Nadal came back in the first set, there wasn't really any panic from de Minaur that you could see. He just kind of stuck to his tactics, and he's doing that still, and it's really working for him.
It is. He's just playing like a very tight-knit, close to the baseline type of game that just feels like he's not going for too much, but at the same time, he's really locking down and he's become a real wall. So every time Rafa tries to use width and use angle to get a ball he can attack, like I feel like he's making errors because de Minaur is just kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
But I guess that was a good hold to start the second set. Just need to break point.
It was, yeah, under some pressure from de Minaur. He obviously slightly helped out by that net cord on the game point, but a good hold for him to start, especially, first set he was broken straight away, so he'll want to get a little bit into this second set with just some holds.
I wonder if something Rafa can do as a change-up is to try to serve and volley on some second serves. If he can get enough air under that, because I feel like de Minaur is still returning from really far behind the baseline.
Yeah. Definitely, it feels like something needs to change on the second serve.
Yeah.
So that doesn't feel like a bad idea. Yeah.
But you've got to be really confident to do that. And it's definitely not. Like he's probably more comfortable doing it when his serve is working really well, or like
Yeah.
when he's coming in behind a really good approach. That's when you see like those volleys that are just perfection.
Yeah, he's possibly not going to be feeling that confident currently, but it's still something that he could try, I think.
Sure.
Hello to the people who seem to have joined us on Twitch. Nice to see you. Interesting comment from Sean about de Minaur having a glass ceiling in his career because he doesn't have the weapons. What do you make of that?
Well, honestly, he's surprised a lot of people in terms of pushing that ceiling up, I would say, this year, to where, I would have thought, like, okay, he can be kind of like, how like Diego Schwartzman kind of peaked at like 8 in the world. And that was amazing that he was able to get to that point. So I kind of thought de Minaur would be in that same kind of ceiling, but I honestly feel like with the way you have the top 4 that have sort of separated themselves, but after that, there's still a little bit of a gap. And there's some parts of the calendar where I feel like he can really make a big step, and wouldn't really shock me if he's like at a career high 5 or 6. Like, I definitely think it's possible with how consistent he's been this year, and also just how he's continued to evolve his game in a way. Like, I feel like he adapts really well to the opponent. Like, doesn't matter who he's playing. Like, and like when I saw him play Djokovic this year in the ATP Cup, like, yeah, that wasn't Djokovic at his best physically, but he was using the slice backhand. He was coming up with, some really big serves. I feel like he's just sort of elevated that ceiling a bit higher now, to where like more seems possible, even on the clay.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think, aside from the top 4, which I think are obviously a step above the rest in the top 10, I certainly see him progressing from where he is now. I think I think I've spoken about this before on stream, but I remember watching the United Cup quite extensively at the start of the year. And de Minaur, I believe, played Cam Norrie in the first match at the United Cup, lost.
Yeah.
And it wasn't his best. He was he played fine, but just sort of normal Alex de Minaur that we were used to maybe last year.
Yeah.
And,
first match of the year, right?
Yeah, first match of the year. And then he came out in the second match, and I can't remember if that one was against Djokovic or somebody else, because he played a few good people that he beat that week, didn't he?
Yeah, he beat Fritz and Djokovic and then Zverev also. So
yes,
3 top 10 wins.
Exactly. And whichever one was the first of those 3, he came out a totally different attitude than he'd had against Cam Norrie. He was completely different. He was roaring at the crowd. He was total game face. He looked like a different player. And I remember thinking even then that we might see a different de Minaur this year, because he just looked, I can't describe how different he looked from one day to the next. And he seems to have just kept that sort of intensity. And that will to improve, and that sort of almost will to prove people wrong about this glass ceiling possibility. And I think he's sort of kept that with him ever since.
Yeah. And like, he beat Medvedev twice last year. It seems like every time he plays Rublev, it's like very 50-50. I feel like he's really improved his base level to a point where, yeah, he used to just get overpowered by most of the top 10 players he would face. There was just like a big difference in firepower, and to a certain extent, there still is a little bit of a difference in firepower, but he's just made up for it by improving so many other areas of his game, and like the tactics and the strategy. I feel like
he's found a way to compete with those players that isn't just trying to match them blow for blow.
Yeah. And he's also improved the firepower. I think he's bulked up a little bit as well, like put on some more muscle. That certainly helped.
Yeah.
He has made the semis of this tournament before. 2 years ago, he had match points over on Alcaraz. It was like a 4-hour match almost, and
Yeah.
Alcaraz had to come up with like this amazing like pass on the forehand as he was running the other direction to save
as
it.
we can all picture.
Yeah. But aside from that result, like he hasn't like that's the standout result I would say it is in his career those 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of any other real clay success for.
And then I guess quarters last week in Monte Carlo. I guess that's the biggest.
Yeah, other than Ghosty asks,
with the standard going for the drop shot on the forehand.
He's gone for a couple of drop shots, Rafa, but only a couple so far this match. But they've worked really well when he has.
Yeah, usually he's followed them into the net with it finished off with a volley, or he's sort of coming in. But this one, he felt really confident of being a winner. Yeah, big points, well, 30 all. Yeah, he's been pushed back quite a bit by the depth of Alex, and then when he's had a few chances, sometimes he has to sort of find the right balance between going for too much and finding that with, oh my goodness, this is a good point right here, but Alex comes out on top. Cat and mouse.
Yeah, Alex went for the lob while Rafa was at the net, and Rafa does get back, but Alex is ready at the net to tap it away for deuce.
So for the two players that Alex has really struggled the most against, like Stefanos Tsitsipas and Yannick Sinner, and it seems like every time he comes up against them, those are the two that have like always had his number. But the last 2 times that he's played them, I've actually been really impressed. Like the Sinner match in Rotterdam, I felt like it was one of the closest straight set matches like all year in a final, and then like he beat Tsitsipas for the first time in Acapulco after losing to him 10 times in a row. So
yeah, you can see his improvement against practically every player that he's got a bit of a record against or for him or whatever it might be. I think you can see that improvement really easily in a lot of matches this year, especially for me, like you say, beating Stefanos in Acapulco felt quite big. I know Stefanos has had a bit of a ropey year in many ways, but it still felt like quite a big deal. de Minaur had a break point there, and Nadal comes into the net after a lengthy rally, tries to go for backhand slice, doesn't get it, and it is an early break in the second set for de Minaur, much like the first.
Yeah, Rafa had a game point, but I felt like de Minaur just sort of stepped up.
Yeah. Obviously, we had a couple of games where Rafa's level was quite high in the first set, where he broke back and then held his serve really easily after that. But I think de Minaur has done really well after that since then, just to stay steady, keep with his tactics, and his level's been really strong.
Yeah. He's also dealing with the heavy high topspin well by just taking everything on the rise and really early and just not letting those high balls on his backhand really lose his depth. So he's somehow just dealing with those way better.
Yeah. Hi Ashley, thank you for joining us. Good morning to you. Sean asking if Rafa looks tired between points. I personally haven't really noticed any of that today. No.
I haven't. No, it hasn't been very obvious.
Certainly not in a Gael Monfils way. No.
No,
I think of
he
it.
hunched over, bent. Yeah.
None of that. None of the Gael Monfils
Or like
theatrics.
Djokovic last week, where he just he was like struggling to breathe on some change of ends, and it was like at the start of the matches as well. So it was
Yeah, that was really strange from Djokovic, I thought, last week. I feel like that nobody ever really asked him about that. I don't know, maybe I missed it, but
like I don't know, the early stages of the match against Rude and stuff. It seemed like he started to play better as like the sets went on, and he started to feel more fresh. But in the beginning, he was just like gasping for air and just really sort of struggling to.
yeah, that was that changeover as well, where he was really shaking, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a great point from Rafa. Felt a lot more like Rafa as well. 4 brilliant forehands in a row, one of which from quite deep in the backhand side.
Yeah, the shot quality on each of those 4 forehands was just felt like vintage Rafa.
Yeah.
He's shown flashes, this match of how devastating that shot can be, but it's just been tough to string it together for enough points in a row to.
Yeah. He's bound to still have it. I think we all know he's not going to lose that quality, but it's the consistency that he's always going to struggle with.
Especially like this is his first match on clay since the French Open, and it's 2 years ago. It's like our second match now, but
yeah, it's a long time, though, isn't it?
2 years, yeah, and he's almost 38. And then you think that he's had the foot surgery after Wimbledon, then he's had the hip operation, then he's had abdominal stuff twice.
Twice.
He's had so many physical issues that I've started to lose track.
Yeah, I have as well. I keep hearing about this back issue recently that I hadn't heard about before.
There was that too, yeah. So it's like, and usually he's been mostly fine for clay court seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, with the odd exception or two, of course, but usually that's when he's been able to get his body back on track, but hasn't even been the case.
Yeah.
That's 3 years. Even the year that he won the French Open last time, I mean, he skipped Monte Carlo, Barcelona, wasn't at full health in Madrid, and then pulled up against Shapovalov, the foot problem in Rome, and then you're thinking, okay, is he even going to make it for Roland Garros, let alone win it?
I know. There is no ice. It's mad. I think that's probably why. It's probably why.
It's like the day after he won the French Open, because he was getting injections on his foot, like in between every single match.
Yeah, it was numb, wasn't it?
Yeah. It just sounds so painful. Like I just can't even.
I know. That was incredible. I think that's probably why so many people, a lot of Rafa fans, but also a load of tennis fans in general, just refuse to count Rafa out when it comes to the French Open. Even whatever we see in the next few weeks of him on clay, however many matches he plays, however many he wins, because of 2022 where his clay season looked bad and it just meant nothing.
Yeah. But I suppose the confidence from winning the Australian Open in the fashion that he did, and then starting the year going like unbeaten for 20 matches in a row, I think at least he had that to like sort of fall back on in those moments of like, okay, I know the level is there. It's just a question of if I can get this foot in good enough shape. But like, I don't know, still with a numb foot to beat 4 top 10 players and like to beat, and he was kind of a little fortunate this Zverev match ended that way it did, because it was 3.5 hours for like 2 sets. So they were on track for maybe like, that was, in those conditions as well, with like the roof closed and the humidity. Yeah,
it was a crazy few weeks.
Yeah. And then you're thinking, okay, cool, he's got the foot back in order, and he can play Wimbledon, and then he gets the abdominal injury there. against Fritz and somehow survives and wins that match and then has to pull out. And really, since then, everything's just gone wrong. Like,
Yeah.
there's very little positives after that Wimbledon.
No, I know we've seen him play a few times since then, obviously, but it's there's never been anything the same.
Yeah, that would be very surprising at this point. It would just be like he'd have to get there, which would mean semis or final. But there's always a magical thing when you come to a tournament that you've won 14 times. There's that component of like, let's dare to dream a little bit because it is still.
Yeah, there's got to be a part of you, I think, that thinks, could he do it still anyway?
Yeah. Like, I think it's a fair question to ask. Like, I think you can, because he's done some stuff before in his career where it's just like, mere mortals can't comprehend. So
exactly. So I refuse to count him out, but it's certainly it doesn't feel likely in any way. So Nadal 30-15 here, obviously 3-1 down with de Minaur with the break. Just to give a quick update for anyone interested in the other court in Barcelona, where Musetti is playing Carballes Baena. They have gone to a tiebreak in the first set after an hour and 10 minutes. So keeping an eye on that. Carballes Baena is currently 4-1 up in that tiebreak.
So I guess the winner of that will play the winner of Tsitsipas and Offner, which is after this match.
Yeah. I'd quite like to see a Musetti Tsitsipas match in a way. But
Of course, there's also Fabian Barozan, who is taking the spot of Alcaraz with the top seed.
Absolutely. And he Van Ash retired earlier to send Marozsan through to the round of 16. That was an excellent drop shot from de Minaur.
That time he actually wasn't that far back on the second serve. Like the serve volley would not have worked there for sure.
Definitely not.
He would have been passed, or he would have been forced to hit a really tough volley, like on his shoelaces. I don't think Alex had the strength to produce these type of shots a year or two ago on the clay. Like physically, he just looks a lot stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. I often, I actually think in a way, we've seen a similar physical improvement from Alex de Minaur and Katie Bolter in the last year. Part of that is obviously, I feel like together they've physically improved quite a lot in a similar sort of way that has made their games a lot more physical.
Yeah, actually, I spoke to Bolter about that in San Diego because I was curious how much of their games have they actually taken from each other, given that they spend so much time together. They've even trained together. They're obviously a couple for the last 4 years. So she said that she's learned a little bit from Alex in terms of fitness program training, like defense, and that certainly helped her game because she moves way better than she did a year or two ago. And
massively.
For de Minaur, it's being more proactive earlier in rallies and sort of using his skills, which is he's a really good volleyer. He has really good hands. He's really good at Like all the rest of the tennis, aside from the big heavy ground strokes and the serve, like apart from that, he has a lot of like other intangibles. So it's just about getting those in play and setting them up. And I feel like he's improved so much. Like also just his firepower, like the way he's hitting through this clay court right now and just getting such good, like it just feels a lot repeatable. Like it just feels like he can do this
Yeah,
consistently for hours and hours.
absolutely. And like you said, the length on some of his ground strokes today has been very impressive.
Yeah. Because obviously for the clay, like the way he produces his shots, it's not the most. It's not going to reward him as much as it would on a fast court. So.
Mm. He's had a couple of break points in this game on Rafa's serve, but unable to take any of them so far. Just a quick Stuttgart update as well. We've had quite a lot of brilliant matches in Stuttgart so far this week already. Another one on centre court at the moment between Kostyuk and Laura Siegmund, who is a wild card. Kostyuk took the first set 6-3 and was 5-3 up in the second. Siegmund managed to get that back to a tiebreak and won that tiebreak 7-4. And then now Kostyuk again a break up in the third set that Siegmund has just broken back. And it's on serve in the third set 3-4, just under 3 hours there. So that's a bit of a blockbuster over in Stuttgart.
Yeah, I think Siegmund had a really good win last in the Billie Jean King Cup over Haddad Maya. There seems to be struggling to get wins right now, but still pretty good result.
Yeah, it should still give her a lot of confidence. I do think Haddad Maya is definitely not at her best the last few times I've watched her, but which is a shame because at her best she's very watchable.
Yeah, she finished the year really strong last year. She won like the WTA Elite Trophy and then also made Roland Garros final and she played like semis. I mean, and actually pushed Iga quite a lot in that second set.
Another break point here for Alex de Minaur. Just sticking to go for that Rafa backhand corner. And when he tries to switch to the forehand, de Minaur goes long and it's back to deuce again.
And he hit one really good backhand on the line in that rally. I thought would give him a shorter ball. But yeah. Rafa did well to sort of get some good depth on the backhand while he was defending.
Yeah.
Yeah, the issue is just how hard Rafa has to work to hold serve right now. He's played 26 service points in this set. De Minaur's only played 10.
Yeah. It's tough. And not only that, how hard he's having to work, how many points he's playing, but every point is a pretty long rally. There's no easy ones. There's no short points.
No.
Just noticed we've got Jane in the chat with us as well. Hi, Jane. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, that was better there. He just stepped in and left the backhand.
Oh, thanks, Jane, for the Vamos Rafa. I've been doing a tally of those. That is now the 6th Vamos Rafa in the comments of this stream. I am keeping count.
Yeah.
I was talking earlier, I'd love to get your opinion. I was talking earlier about tournaments that have cars in the crowd, where the car's like on a diagonal facing the court. I hate that because it makes me so nervous. How do
I
you feel
know.
about cars on
Like
tennis courts?
there's the tournament every year in Delray Beach, right? They have a car like literally on the side of the court, like very close to like where the match time is and like the
Yeah,
serve speed. And it's just like imagine if Medvedev was playing on that court, he'd basically be hitting the car every single time he swings.
he'd hit
So
the
yeah, it
guy.
makes me really uncomfortable because I feel like what if the players like run into it or get hurt or like it's like when they have the tarp on the back of the baseline in some of those clay events they used to. I
Yeah.
think like 1 year Kokonakis tripped over it and like Gofan has had some injuries with it and it's just like yeah, I don't know. Like I guess they have it in Stuttgart as well, right? But
Yeah, they've
it's
got the three cars in Stuttgart.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I guess it's obviously the main sponsor of the tournament, but still, it's like yeah, it does make me a little nervous that like it's just another thing for the players to
Yeah, it's
worry
not
about.
my favourite. And sorry, whilst I've been distracting everyone with car chat, it is a double break for Alex de Minaur. Rafa
Yeah,
unable to hold there. Just so much pressure from Alex de Minaur.
just the constant threat of having to make it too good to get the ball by him right now is understandably causing some unforced errors because you gotta like be really precise. It's- There's something going on the court or no? Okay, it's just
Yeah, I thought there was something weird, but then I thought I'd just imagined it. Is it raining?
that's what I thought. Yeah, but maybe it was just because normally you see some like umbrellas in the crowd of like, or you see like
There's no umbrellas in the crowd. There's a few people leaving, and there's a few people with hoods up.
maybe it's like very light rain.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Because on clay, like I know they can play through it a little bit.
Hmm. de Minaur seems to be stepping up to serve, so if it is raining, it must only be a tiny bit, like you say.
Kosti says, I guess I should just be happy that he's at least avoiding injury. Yeah, I mean, I that was like one of the main goals for him this week. In all honesty, get through a couple of matches without getting hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, he can be. Obviously, it's not over yet, but if Alex de Minaur does carry on as he is at the moment and does take this match, I don't think Nadal can be too disappointed. I think he's played well. He's showed signs of promise.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, a win under his belt is no mean feat against
Yeah,
any player, however they're playing. It's nice for him to get that win. Obviously, de Minaur is a huge step up that he might not be ready for, and I don't think that's something to be too disappointed about.
no, yeah. We've gained a lot more information about what he can and can't do as well with this with
Yeah.
a match like this against the world number 11. And he still has a little bit of time. I mean, like Rome doesn't. I'm kind of looking towards Rome because traditionally, well, Rafa's won Madrid and he's obviously won it like only 4 times, But compared to the rest of his tournaments where he's won it 10 plus times,
Yeah.
he's just generally a bit more vulnerable in Madrid. I would say where favors a bit more the big servers and the altitude and just his forehand doesn't do as much damage, but if he could get through a couple of matches there unscathed as well, and then give himself like a week to get ready for Rome, I don't know. Like maybe this level that we're seeing right now, it's something he can definitely build on. It's not like,
Yeah.
but he just has to stay healthy. If he stays healthy, that'll take care of like most of his problems.
Yeah, exactly. Like we keep saying, the main goal was to stay healthy, not get hurt. Hopefully, he's done that this week. And like you say, if you can get a few more matches in Madrid, maybe a few more in Rome, then that would be really good to see.
Yeah, ideally you want to see like at least a quarterfinal or something in Rome to really believe like, okay, maybe there's something magical that can happen at Roland Garros. And
yeah,
but if he's it would be a shame if he's like starting to play really well and then he risks like the more longer matches you get into, like the better it is for his rhythm and like finding the tempo, I guess. But like it's also a higher risk of something physically going wrong. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg.
Yeah. He's going to want to prove that he can take on a longer match, but does he want to do that quite yet? I don't know. Ghosty asking what we think of de Minaur's anticipation today. Anything special?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, his speed, his court coverage, his the way he's sort of just been prepared for anything that Rafa's throwing at him by combining it with aggression of his own. Like that's been impressive because he's just sort of steadied the course even when Rafa was coming back at him in the first set, and then he's managed to stretch the lead. So yeah,
I was particularly impressed with the back end of the first set because it would have been quite easy seeing Rafa playing better and you know having to adjust to that. Obviously, Rafa had a break point for a double break as well at one point. So I think he's been really impressive the whole match, especially like you say, court coverage for me is huge for Alex de Minaur. It's just such an asset, and he's used it brilliantly today.
Yeah, every time he's been getting these balls back, he's not just getting it back, like he's getting it back with a lot of interest and forcing Nadal to have to go for lines, and that's a really rough position for Rafa to be in right now with how undercooked he is.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, even in the second set, I guess there've been two pretty long games. There was that long game at 1-1. Like both breaks of serve, de Minaur has really had to earn them.
Yes, absolutely. It's not been easy by any means. I mean, obviously it's 5-1 at the moment, but it's not been quick.
No. Like the game that he held to go up 5-1, that was his first like love hold. Well, actually, there was also a love hold in the first game of the second set. So 2 love holds, but both the breaks he's really had to work for.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's only dropped 2 points behind his serve this set. So
that's wildly impressive. And that was another brilliant drop shot from de Minaur, and this time
even
Rafa doesn't go for it.
So let's see if he can hold here, at least make de Minaur serve this one out.
Yeah. He has got a match point here, Alex de Minaur, with a very nice forehand slice of the net.
Yeah, so right from the return, Rafa was on his toes.
Yeah.
Having to sort of come up with a really good backhand cross-court pass to stay alive.
So match point for de Minaur, and Rafa's returning forehand does go long, and it is 6-1 in the second set. De Minaur goes through, beats Rafael Nadal, and that second set was he did have to work for it, de Minaur, but it was slightly easier than the first.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice moment.
Like Nadal was having to sort of point shorten at all costs, and even if he wasn't constructing it perfectly, he sort of wanted to, try to finish these rallies quicker, just because he wasn't having any success the longer the extended rallies, especially after the first set. That have to have taken so much, to put yourself in a position where you feel like you can get the set and then not get it, and then it was.
Yeah,
I
that
guess the
first
next
set
couple of games
was
were
tough.
fairly quick, but at least he showed signs that he can be more competitive if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, I agree. I think, if he had managed to get that point for the double break, you never know. If he'd have taken the first set, would we have seen more in the second? There's lots of things. It was close. Obviously, in that second set, it sort of got away from him in the end.
Yeah.
But de Minaur worked for the breaks that he got. There's no denying that. So I think really, there's positives to say for both. I thought de Minaur's level was amazing and should be commended. And obviously Rafa not at his best, but still competitive. And de Minaur did what he needed to do. But positive signs for Rafa going forward on clay as well.
Yeah, definitely some positives, but also it very much feels like this might be the last time Nadal plays in Barcelona for sure. It's also based on the way he was treated as he left the court and sort of waving and knowing that most probably it's his last time.
Yeah.
It's still obviously leaving the window open slightly. We look at the stats here: 42 unforced errors to 11 winners, but a lot of that can also be taken with a pinch of salt when it comes to that count, because you have to up the risk profile if you're Nadal right now. Yeah, de Minaur's forehand was very solid. 16 winners and 13 unforced. That's a very good ratio.
Yeah, he did just feel kind of solid all round today. I thought quite solid, quite steady, not going for anything that's too crazy, but just like you said earlier, a bit of a wall on the baseline.
Yeah, winning 75% of his first serve points, 65 on the second serve. Rafa down at 35, which obviously not too surprising.
Jamie asking what Nadal's next tournament might be. Do we think? I mean, I would personally say Madrid.
Yeah, I would think he'd want to play Madrid again. He still has like a week, right? So about 8 days until his first match there, most likely, because he won't have a bye. So
Can you hear me all right, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a bit of background noise for a second there, but it's okay now.
Okay. Yeah. Well, things are pretty lively here because, Kostic has just squeezed past Laura Siegerman, but we'll talk about that some other time. I didn't really hear most of you for the second set. I decided to focus on the match and see how it unfolded because my stream was a few seconds behind you both. But I don't know. I don't know whether to feel a little bit negative or overall. There are some positives to take. I think for Rafa, don't you think, Vanch, from this 2 days and 2 matches?
Yeah, I think the ball striking when he's in position has been okay for the most part, especially on the forehand. He has shown some flashes here and there. Particularly, I look at the first set when he was, a breakdown and almost got into position to serve for the set at 5-3. Was up 5-4 as well. So there were some signs that he can be still, more competitive, even with the limitations in his service motion, if you like, and just general mobility. He started to read the drop shots a bit better, but then as soon as de Minaur adjusted, as soon as Rafa was forced to hit more second serves, as soon as the match got a bit more physical, we started to see Nadal up the risk profile, try to finish points earlier, flatten out his shots more. And that resulted in more mistakes, because I think he just has to be okay with that at this point, with how little he's played, and it was just too tough of a task. And de Minaur was just ruthless. Every time he had an opportunity, he pretty much just went for it. And I feel like his game overall, like, he wouldn't have been in a position even a year or two ago to take advantage of this Nadal in the fashion that he did. So he really stepped on him and made sure that Rafa wasn't able to get some of his mojo back, because even in the second set, he really had to earn both those breaks. But it felt like Nadal was having to play he played over 30 points on his serve, and de Minaur barely lost any on his serve at all, and he was just racing through his service games. That put so much pressure on Nadal as the match went on. But I think there are some positives. But yeah, what did you think, Chiara?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there's positives for Rafa, certainly going into the rest of the clay season. I think, like I say, regardless of whether you think Koboli was intimidated yesterday or not, it's still a win on the ATP Tour for Rafael Nadal after practically 2 years not playing at his best level. So I think we should be positive, certainly about yesterday. And today, Alex de Minaur currently is I would argue, one of the best 10 players, maybe 8 players in the world, form-wise at the moment. It was a massive step up from yesterday's match. And all credit should go, however much we're obviously all going to talk about Rafael Nadal because he's Nadal, and I would do the same, but all credit should go to Alex de Minaur because it was not an easy match for him today, for many reasons. Playing Rafa Nadal on pista Rafa Nadal is pretty tough, whoever you are. I thought he handled that brilliantly. There wasn't any sign of intimidation or anything like that from the word go. And his tennis was pretty spectacular at times, Alex de Minaur, tactically and movement-wise and drop shot-wise and in all ways.
If it looks like I'm coming at you from either a late night club or the police and are about to arrest me from behind, well, it's neither of those, but I'm in a very vibrant environment, as you can imagine. Yeah, I think something that you've touched upon, I would agree with. In some certain positives for him to take forward. I saw a question about what tournament will he play next. Well, as long as he's as good as he felt a week ago or 5 days ago when he arrived in Barcelona, then he'll play Madrid. The only doubt would have been for Madrid is if he limped off the court in one way or another today, or if he'd, gone to the semis or the final. So I'm sure he'll try and he'll do absolutely everything he can. The tournament that he might miss would be Rome, but again, it depends on how he's feeling and how many matches he plays in Madrid. Regarding today, I do want to say a couple more things, which you've both sort of touched upon, which is regarding de Minaur, because I think de Minaur made us question Rafa's level a little bit today. I mean, every time Rafa went big, it was one of two things happening, particularly in the second set. Every time Rafa went big, it was either going to be an unforced error or de Minaur was going to get it back with not interest, but was going to get it back and everything was going to be okay. It wasn't like de Minaur was getting it back and it was going to be an easy put away for Rafa. It was happening the other way around. And Rafa didn't get frustrated as he pretty much never has in his career. But I was thinking to myself, this is a big step up, as you said, Kira, from what he had in the day. If he gets a couple of kind draws, maybe in Madrid and Rome, we might see a few more matches from him. And I remember him in Barcelona in 2021, I think it was, and he looked pretty horrible all the way to the final. And yet he ends up, okay, he didn't win Roland Garros that year, one of the few years, but he recovered and won Rome and got to the semis in Paris. I'm not predicting either of those two things to happen, but I do think he needs some matches. I think there was a running out. There was a couple of balls in the second set where I think if he'd had a few more matches under his belt, he might have done a bit more with. So I'm not as down as maybe some people might be. I mean, I think it was a 60-40 contest before. This result doesn't shock me. I think de Minaur has improved both as a player and even on this surface. I thought he was moving pretty well today. If de Minaur ends up winning Barcelona, I wouldn't be shocked. What about you, Vanch?
Yeah, I definitely put him as one of the top 3-4 contenders to win this title. And like you said, yeah, I think he was also just not going to chase everything down this week. He knew the main goal was to just get the matches in, be healthy, not make anything worse, and just feel like he can build on it. And this is actually a level that I think he can build on if he stays healthy. I do feel like the serve will need to get better, of course, in time for Roland Garros, but that is something he's going to have to just work with. Like that's the best he can do right now, and he's done the best with what he's got, and he's sort of, de Minaur still had to earn it. It still feels like, okay, this was a step too far for him to go from 62 to 11 in the world and feel like he has to redline his game in order to get by. But yeah, I'm not that down on it. I mean, he told us everything before the tournament and what his expectations are, and like, yeah, I knew this was going to be a much bigger challenge for him. As for Minaur, yeah, if he can get to the semis and potentially play Tsitsipas again, that would be an interesting match now, more than their other previous meetings, especially because Minaur already beat Steph earlier this year in Acapulco.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, as my internet comes in and out, I'll think it's a good time to draw this to a close. I see one or two people saying that he's never great in Madrid. It's true. Therefore, to be honest with him, if he wins one match and loses one match in Madrid, we'd actually probably be going, wow, that's the same as a lot of the rappers we've seen over the last sort of few years. But yeah, listen, that's still to come, and obviously a lot more to look forward to in Barcelona. Kira, thank you very much for seeing us through, and obviously you had the reins the first set, and then Vance joined, I think, at 5-all in the second set, and Rafa won one game thereafter. So we can all blame him.
Put him off.
Well, I decided to come right as he broke back because I felt like, okay, now we've got a match on our hands. But
yeah, well, we did have a match and at 5-all, and listen, as we all said, some positives, some concerns. I know I said we're going to bring this to an end, but it was something else. There was an element today of the concerns we had on the serve against Kaboli. I don't know. I think I saw some other things with the all-round game against an elite player today on this surface. I never felt as though he was going to hit through de Minaur today. And I know that's something only probably 5 or 6 players on the tour can do anyway, especially on a slowish clay surface like we've got in Barcelona. But it almost felt that those second serve sort of speeds that we've been talking about regarding his first and second serve, there was something about Rafa even during those sort of rallies where it was like, I don't see him getting. I mean, there was one stat during the second set I saw as well. It was about the number of, I think, points on serve. It was like 26-10 that Rafa was having to endure, and it told us a lot about the match. But I'm sure he'll come to press shortly and he'll say stuff like, "Yep, well, I told you I wouldn't make the final," unlike Tsitsipas saying that. This is what I expected. I need a few more matches, but so I'm sure he'll put a very realistic but ultimately maybe positive spin on this.
And just quickly to answer a couple of people in the chat talking about the serves.
Sorry,
just because I think some people joined us a little bit later after we'd already spoken about it. Just asking, like Jane asking if the serve's something that's going to improve, what's his average serve speed, that sort of thing. Matthew was talking about it earlier as well about Rafa in press conferences. He said that he's not putting his all into the serve at the moment because of the multiple physical reasons for that he would have. So if over the next few weeks we do see some improvement from him in various areas, like you say, John, I think there's more to improve than just the serve. But if we do see some improvement there, I think we could expect the serve to look a little bit different, a little bit better, and he might go for it a lot more in Roland Garros.
Yeah, I think he'll have to if he's gonna win some matches there. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, big thanks for you, Kira, in particular, but also Vance, of course, as always, for joining us. Do you want to click a button, or shall I click it, Kira? The one that says My Movie 28.
You go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Hang on a second. I'll tell you what, Kira, before I press it. Vance, do you want to? You haven't done it for like 6 to 12 months. The impersonation of my goodbye.
Oh, please.
Vance has done it like about 8 or 9 months ago. Can you remember?
Yeah, I think it's like it goes like, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Pretty good, Vance. I think that since you've gone to the one app, though, I think you're missing some emphasis, and you were really good at the emphasis last year, the pauses and everything else. But I got some
feedback saying earlier that it made my voice a little bit too high pitched, so I got to work on the tone.
You need a few more reps, Vance. You need a few more reps.
I'll start working on mine as well.
It's like Rafa's serve. I just need a few more. I need some practice. Yeah.
Definitely. All right, I'm going to click the button now. 3, 2, 1.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.